Webport, 33 Pegasi. As I launched my Type-7, with every spare piece of space filled with valuable beryllium, I saw him, the hollow triangle on the scanner. I saw him before even moving towards the station exit. I could just turn around, but then I'd not get paid. The job was already late. Instead, I edged the ship forward, slipping out into space. Immediately, I yawed the Type-7 hard, clinking to the face of the station, and then the side. My instinct about the hollow triangle was right. It resolved into an Imperial Clipper, much faster and more agile than my Type-7, and it was making a murderous path towards me. I hugged the station's structure, flying between the station's core and its outer modules, knowing that the Clipper couldn't risk hitting the station, and with the vital knowledge that mass lock is lost closer to the station's rear than it is to its front. Eventually, though, I would have to fly out into open space. Reaching the rear of the station, I put full power to shields. Immediately, as I cleared the structure, the pirate opened fire. My shields rapidly depleted as the pirate flew around me, almost as if he were toying with me. But I had bought enough time. In the end, he couldn't eliminate my shields. The shimmering blue tunnel of witch space began to envelop my ship. Once again, my Type-7 had proven itself a survivor. The Type-7 is not a popular ship amongst Pilots Federation members. Despite accounts like this, no doubt repeated anywhere where trouble confronts the traitor, the Type-7 remains unloved, with, according to recent fleet statistics compiled by McNamara, less than 1% of commanders flying the ship. If we look at the Distant Worlds 2 expedition, the figures are even worse. Only 0.45% of the fleet are Type-7s, with the Sidewinder, of all ships, being a more popular ride. Is it just luck that this traitor survived a harrowing experience in 34 Pegasi? Or does the Type-7 have redeeming features that most of us are overlooking? Why was the sugar bus of Shap's Sugar Bus a bright purple Lakon Type-7 rather than something more glamorous? This article will attempt to answer that question. There's no getting away from it. The Type-7 is not pretty. The basic layout is a box with a cockpit stuck on the front as if it were an afterthought, and engines haphazardly strapped to the back. The Type-7, though, is designed for space trucking, and truckers have never really cared much about aesthetics. Beauty may be in the eye of the beholder, but in any case, ugliness doesn't seem to deter all that many Pilots Federation members. The Core Dynamics ships have never won any prizes for their looks, but that doesn't seem to deter their owners to tend to describe them as purposeful and vigorously defend their choice of ship against those who prefer Gutamaya's more sleek designs. That the Type-7 is basically a box with engines on the back should really not come as much of a surprise. The basic box shape has been used very successfully for cargo haulers since the beginning of recorded history. Boxes are easy to construct and easy to fill with cargo, so tend to be the favored shape in this line of work. Even in the early space age on industrial Earth, as humankind took to the skies, the box still proved popular despite the importance of aerodynamics while traveling through Earth's atmosphere. Examples abound, such as the short 360 Skyvan, a box with wings, road trucks, boxes on wheels, vans, smaller boxes on wheels, freight trains, many boxes on wheels pulled by a locomotive, also a box on wheels. When the task is to haul a load, aesthetics and sometimes aerodynamics often take second place to the convenience and ease of construction of vehicles shaped like boxes. While a box is not the ideal shape for a pressurized vessel such as a spacecraft, the box has still won out in the end. Far in the past, it was essential to use cylindrical shapes for space travel due to the strength of the cylinder as a pressure vessel, but as materials technology advanced, this need eventually disappeared. Ship designers could start making shapes for other reasons such as aesthetics, or in the case of cargo vessels, for ease of construction and loading. So once again, the box became popular, as it's easy to construct and easy to fill. In any case, space truckers don't really care that much what their ship looks like, and if a box is quicker to load and unload, the box wins. We can conclude that it's not aesthetics that made the Type-7 unpopular. The Type 7's box has a basic and quite serious flaw when compared to other ships of similar size, such as the Venerable Python. The flaw becomes obvious when you see the Type 7 parked on its landing pad. It looks absurdly small and entirely inappropriate for the large size pad it requires. This leaves many asking why it's not on a medium pad. Clearly, the platform fits with room to spare. In an uncharacteristic error, Lakon designed the ship marginally too tall to fit in a standard medium hangar by only a couple of meters. It doesn't sound like much, but those 2 meters rule out the ability to land on an outpost, making the ship a lot less useful to independent pilots looking to run missions. Unfortunately, due to the expense of changing the design, it's unlikely that Lakon are ever going to address this, and they have remained tight-lipped about it since the ship's introduction. If you're looking for excitement, the Type 7 won't be what gives it to you, but it is a reasonably competent flyer for its purpose and size. The outstanding feature of the ship in terms of handling are its oversized yaw thrusters, which help it snake into tight spaces. Importantly, this helps the pilot maneuver through stations at busy times without it becoming a contact sport, as it often does with some of the large ships. To quantify this, the Type 7 has a yaw rate of 25 degrees per second, as high as its maximum pitch rate. The similar-sized Python's yaw rate is less than half of this. The ship also has very good supercruise handling for a ship of its size. While traders often overlook this characteristic, they shouldn't. A ship that handles well in supercruise will also escape interdictions more easily, and a good yaw rate is very helpful. For the trader, being able to escape with no shots fired is a much better option than having a ship bristling with weapons. This is especially true for the Type 7 pilot, given that its hardpoints are best described as decorative. Its characteristics as an exploration vessel aren't to be overlooked either. With recent advances in frameshift drive technology, most ships can be turned into viable explorers, but some are undisputably better than others. With a realistic deep space exploration loadout, the Type 7 can achieve a jump range of up to 54 light-years. It also has a large fuel tank for its size, giving an unrefueled range of 370 light-years. Good for exploring those deep nooks of the galaxy where main sequence stars may be rare, and good for chaining neutron star boosts, where the range will exceed 1,200 light-years. While aesthetically the cockpit may look like an afterthought, for the explorer, that cockpit provides a panoramic view of what lies ahead. This makes the ship a great step up from the Lakon Asp Explorer. While the Asp will give a better single jump range, about 7 light-years more than the Type 7, and a longer unrefueled range, the Type 7 will carry a bigger SRV bay, a bigger auto-field maintenance unit, hull repair and fuel limpets thanks to its much greater internal space. This, for many explorers, is a worthwhile trade-off, especially when you consider that during Distant Worlds 1, the Anacondas that had been the most severely enfeebled to get maximum jump range would still be about 14 light-years short of today's Type 7. The Type 7 also uses the same class of frameshift drive as the Asp, so all the engineering upgrades that an explorer made for their Asp will not go to waste should they decide they need more internal space. This leads on to the role as a long-range trader. With a burgeoning Colonia region needing supplies for the creature comforts of the bubble, the decently sized fuel tank allows nearly 1,000 light-years unrefueled range when jet cone boosting, while filled to the gunnels with the good stuff. The ship does have its in-flight flaws, and we're not really talking about its unexciting handling, which, after all, is pretty much expected in a ship made for space trekking. The biggest flying quality issue with the Type 7 is its poor heat efficiency. Take the default E-rated loadout and you won't even be able to hyperspace to another system without having to pop off a heatsink. Forget maneuvers around high-G planets as an explorer if you went for an ultra-lightweight build. Again, you'll find yourself overheating in circumstances your old Asp Explorer handled with aplomb. To get serious use from a Type 7, either as a trader or explorer, you'll need to at least get your power plant A-rated to avoid these problems. Should mass and power allow, engineering for low emissions may be useful as well. So, with the heat problems and the inability to fit on a medium pad, why not just get a Python? The argument goes that the Python can do everything the Type-7 does, but better. Holes can be put in this argument if you look at the price list. A fully A-rated Type-7 and full A rating will solve all the heat problems, which will safely carry 244 tons of cargo, will cost just over 50 million credits, or 65 million if you equip it with military-grade composite bulkheads. By contrast, the most basic Python with all modules only E-rated will cost nearly 57 million credits, and with the exception of being able to land on a medium pad, will be inferior in nearly every way except for offensive capability. Fully A-rating the Python will turn it into the best ship in its class, but also will bring its cost to over 140 million credits, almost 3 times the price of an A-rated Type-7. This increases to 189 million credits if you equip the Python with military-grade composites. Meanwhile, the Python will carry 228 tons of cargo versus the Type-7's 244 tons. Despite its shortcomings, there's no doubt that the ship offers excellent value for money, and Lakon priced it keenly. For a pilot looking to step up their trading game on the way to bigger and better things, the Type-7 definitely should not be overlooked, and it'll have you trading in bulk far sooner than saving up for a Python. Or, indeed, doing deep space exploration with a fully equipped ship than waiting and holding out for something fancier. Good trade ships often make good miners. Unfortunately, the Type-7 falls short in this regard, owing to its very limited hardpoints. With only small hardpoints, the seismic charge launcher won't fit, which means that the ship, at least without the assistance of another ship, isn't suitable for deep core mining, which is by far the most profitable kind of mining. For traditional laser mining, abrasion blasting, or subsurface displacement mining though, the ship does as well as expected, although only being able to fit small mining lasers will limit the rate at which the miner can extract minerals. Anyone who's been flying for a while will perhaps be wondering, is the Type-7 really as uncommon and unloved as the statistics imply? They are a common enough sight, but you'll also notice they tend to be flown for corporations and other factions by non-pilots Federation pilots. While the inability to land on the medium pad and the unglamorous exterior of the Type-7 might turn off a Pilots Federation member, for the corporations, the low unit cost and above average ability to escape interdictions makes it a bestseller. No other ship with a similar cargo hauling ability comes close to the price of a Type-7, which is an advantage that can't be overstated for a corporation which might have a fleet of thousands of ships. Pilots Federation members often think of themselves as the be-all and end-all of space travel, but there's a whole other galaxy out there, that of the pilots who don't have the luxury of owning their own ship and have to fly someone else's. This is where Lakon really aimed the Type-7. In the opinion of this writer at least, the Type-7 is an overlooked ship, even if only for its use as a stepping stone to better things. It nicely bridges the gap between the smaller traders such as Lakon's own Type-6 and the much more expensive but incredibly competent Falcon de Lacy Python. And it does so in such a way that a savvy trader can operate without being entirely at the mercy of the galaxy's villainous masses. The ship also makes a perfectly tolerable explorer, and, thanks to its excellent internal module space, is one of the lower cost ways to be simultaneously a fuel rat and a hull seal without sacrificing your own ability to explore. The owner of the sugar bus of ship Sugar Bus was not, after all, as mad as we may have thought, although we must note that he ultimately traded his Type-7 for a bright purple-sod Kruger Orca.